down the Miami Dolphins 28-15. Aaron Rodgers had a good night, while DK Metcalf had 3 catches for 55 yards and a touchdown. Today, Mike McDaniel said, when asked the question of whether they would bench Tua Tagovailoa, he said, quote, "Everything is on the table. The support has been furnished by Genuine."
Let's get it going. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you till 2 o'clock today. John and Jim will take over then. We got some tickets to give away today. Zach Bryan at Snapdragon Stadium on July 31st. San Diego State basketball, Viejas Arena tomorrow night at 7 against the Air Force Academy. We're going to get to it all today on a wonderful Tuesday. We also got power rankings coming up at 12:30. We got Derek Togerson coming up at 1:30. A jam-packed Tuesday show as we continue. To begin it today, we are going to talk about last night. I don't know if we're calling it a football game or what we're going to call last night, but it was a weird Monday night football experience that we all sat down and witnessed last night. And I'm still not exactly sure what we saw. So I think about this in a couple of ways, because the Miami Dolphins, at least seemingly, and if you were listening to Troy Aikman on the broadcast, gave up on last night's game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And that's a weird thing in the NFL. In fact, it's not something you often see. Tanking happens at the general manager level. Tanking rarely happens on the field level. Like, you see guys who are getting paid a lot of money to go out there and play football. You usually see them play their asses off no matter what the situation is. Last night, the Miami Dolphins were not playing their asses off. Last night, the Miami Dolphins coaching staff was not coaching their asses off. That seemed like a tank game from the Miami Dolphins. And we saw flashes of that offense in the fourth quarter. We were like, oh, that's what this thing looks like when it's supposed to be cooking a little bit. But for the large part of the game, it seemed like Miami was just kind of offering it up on a silver platter for the Pittsburgh Steelers to go ahead and take it. And that's exactly what the Steelers did. Now, here's where I go back and forth, because in a lot of ways, I look at a coaching performance like that from Mike McDaniel, someone whose name was thrown around the league a lot early on in this season, as, oh, that's a game where you could see a fireable offense being had. The way that he managed the fourth quarter when the Dolphins absolutely still had a shot to get back in the game by huddling up, not going no huddle, not going for an onside kick when the situation called for it, not calling timeouts. It was bizarre from Mike McDaniel. And so I think about it that way. Like, that looks like a game where if a GM wanted to, if an owner wanted to, you could fire your head coach based on what just happened. But then I think about it from his point of view. And now I'm kind of thinking that's a game from a head coach whose job is secure for another year, because he knows, as much as the GM knows, as much as the owners know, that they're going to need a better draft pick going into next season. And right now the Dolphins are in a tie with a bunch of different teams for that kind of mid first round, 7 to 15, somewhere in there for a draft pick. So I really don't know where I land on it. What I will say, pathetic excuse for a Monday night football game that should have been flexed. What are we doing, NFL?
Well, it was a good matchup going into the game. What's going on? Tua's done. Like, that's, let's just
Tua's good.
Speak it like it is.
Did Mike McDaniel say something about that this morning?
Yeah, they asked him, they said, are you, like, is there going to be a change at the quarterback spot? He said, quote, "Everything's on the table." Tua was bad last night. You can tell and it's sad, all the concussions that's happened to him, but you can tell he's kind of scared to get hit. He won't run anymore because, understandably, he has had a lot of injuries. He's kind of a shell of himself. That pick down the sideline, Asante Samuel, was just a floater. I don't know if you saw on the broadcast last night, all 15 of his interceptions on the season have come against zone coverage. So what does that tell you? When Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle aren't running by everyone and they're running wide open and can throw the bomb, he can't read a defense. Like, it's not to be harsh, but it's just the truth. They're mixing in coverages. I thought the defense fought. Hats off to the Dolphins for being 1-6 and even being in that position to be in a game that could be meaningful in December. But yeah, I don't put that on Mike McDaniel. Like, yes, I agree with you. It was shocking how lackadaisical it was down the stretch.
There was no coaching at all. Sammy, down the stretch, the team was huddling up in clear no huddle situations.
But to the point, the Miami owner before the game had already said they obviously the big talk down there in Miami is McDaniel going to be fired? There's going to be massive changes, and he's like, if McDaniel gets fired, he's the hottest head coaching name on the market. And first off, if you're the New York Giants, I think that's your first call. I think McDaniel's 100% your first call if he were to get fired. So he's like, why would I fire this guy just to get hired by someone else when we don't have someone that we really feel like can come in here and perform immediately, especially because the head coaching market this year doesn't look like there's too many big names on it. Yeah, I don't fault McDaniel. If I was a Dolphins fan, I would be frustrated with the lack of fight. But let's be honest, this team wasn't going to do anything in the playoffs anyway. And I think it's time for a quarterback change. And I also don't think it's Mike McDaniel's fault that at times in his 4-year tenure there, the first year they were the 2 seed until they got knocked out by the Bills in the last week of the season. Then Tua gets hurt. Then Tua gets hurt back-to-back years. Then Tyreek gets hurt. Like at some point, it's kind of hard to kill Mike McDaniel when it's like the guys aren't on the field.
You know, I do think that the Miami Dolphins and Mike McDaniel are going to be in the market for Mac Jones this offseason. I honestly believe that. Mike McDaniel was on the 49ers coaching staff during the Mac Jones draft. And that Niners coaching staff, Kyle Shanahan, Mike McDaniel, who was the OC that year, I believe I have that correct. They wanted Mac Jones, and they kind of got talked into Trey Lance during that year. So calling it now, Mike McDaniel starting quarterback or Mac Jones starting quarterback for the Miami Dolphins next year. Now, the side story to last night's game, and maybe part of the reason I was so frustrated with it, that was an all-time bad beat. What are we doing here, Miami? You were playing for the under the entire game, and then in the last 10 minutes of action, you score a bunch of touchdowns to hit the over? Oh, Sammy, it was frustrating last night. I'm sure you've seen it. I'm sure everybody listening has seen all the different fantasy football bad beats that happened yesterday.
858's happy that the over hit.
So good for you, 858. I'm happy for you. I truly am.
It's a nasty backdoor cover.
Nasty backdoor cover by 1 point. But you look at what Darren Waller did in the final 7 minutes of that football game. Darren Waller put up 23 fantasy points, which literally swayed 1 million fantasy football matchups.
And to that point, this is why it makes Tua look so bad. Because if you look at the Miami roster, like look at them on offense. Achane is one of the most exciting young running backs in the game. Jalen Waddle is a really good receiver that everyone was calling about at the trade deadline. Darren Waller comes out of retirement. And I think people forget how good Darren Waller was when he was with the Raiders. Like,
he was a beast.
He was supposed to be the next big time tight end, goes to the Giants, doesn't really work out. And then is back in Miami. I know they have Tyreek Hill. He wasn't there because he was hurt, and we'll see. He's getting up there in age, had a couple injuries. We'll see what he does. But it's not like this team is devoid of. Malik Washington is a fun young player for a rookie at the receiver spot. Like Tua, unfortunately, it's probably time to hang it up. I don't think he's even he's not a starter in the league. If he wants to continue being a backup, I guess that's fine. But the biggest winner in all of this is Kyler Murray and Mac Jones.
I think so too.
Those two, because last night...
Or the teams that those two currently are under contract with, because they're about to get broke off.
Because Arch Manning just announced yesterday he's returning to Texas. Now, I don't think he was going to be a high pick, but he would have probably risen in draft boards.
Who's the Nebraska quarterback? He's entering the transfer portal. Yeah. He's not going to the draft either.
Yeah, and he probably would have been picked high. But so you only have your Ty Simpson, your Dante Moore. We'll see how they fare in college football if they go back. Tua puts up a stinker last night. If I'm Kyler Murray or Mac Jones' agent, I am just throwing a party today because they are going to be the most high in demand quarterback for any team that does not land Fernando Mendoza with the number 1 pick.
It's going to be fun to watch, man. That's this offseason. We still got a bunch of teams who are in the playoffs that we'll discuss today when we do our power rankings coming up at 12:30. Derek Togerson at 1:30. Ticket giveaways throughout the show. Don't go anywhere. You're not going to want to miss anything. But yeah, I'm bummed. I was 1 point away from cashing a nice little $200 wager last night, but no, had to be Darren Waller. Had to be.
You had the under.
I had the under. Pittsburgh -3.5 and anytime DK touchdown.
Oh, wow.
It was right there for me,
That's a brutal beat.
And by the way, my score, 14-3, was there in the fourth quarter.
I was so watching the fourth quarter because I was like, I can't have Fletch be right on 3 points. So I was so happy that Tua threw 2 touchdowns at the end of the day.
I couldn't believe it. It was like no offense the entire game. And then the last 8 minutes of the game, offense. Oh, it pissed me off last night. All right, let's get to our first big three of the day where Sammy Long rips through the top stories in the world of sports. We got a good one today. Sammy, smash it.
Your lunch break is here. Ready to go back to the office and knock the socks off your friends? Coworkers? It's time for the top stories of the day. The big three.
I'm going to try to do this all in one breath. We ready for this? If you want to text the show, you can 70470. Start your message with the word team. If you want to watch the show, a couple ways for you to do so on X at Fletch and Sammy, on YouTube at San Diego Sports 760. Leave a comment there. We'd love to hear from you. And if you're on the free iHeartRadio app, find that little red microphone icon, top right-hand corner of the screen. Tap that. Leave us a 30-second message. Your voice could be heard on this show. Sammy, where are we going in the world of sports?
That's a professional. A professional does it right there. Let's go with just like I want to say, Steelers Ravens. What's a better story though? I should take the Ravens out. Aaron Rodgers getting in the playoffs and winning a Super Bowl, or Phillip Rivers winning one playoff game in the AFC.
See, the Steelers story to me has already kind of been written, and I hate it when stuff like that happens in the NFL, but the Steelers story has been written. Why? Well, because we've seen it like the last 7 years. Mike Tomlin is too good a coach to miss the postseason. I think we've learned that over and over again. He's probably going to make the playoffs, and it's probably going to be a really nice draw for whoever gets them in the first round. And guess what? They may even host a playoff game, because with that win last night, I believe they can lose their next two games, and as long as they beat Baltimore in the finale, they will win that division.
You think Pittsburgh's a good draw for someone in the playoffs?
I do, actually. I really do. It might be Baltimore going into Pittsburgh in the first round of the postseason.
Well, no. They're probably fighting for the last AFC North spot.
So who's that 5 seed?
It would be
right
Chargers going to Pittsburgh right now.
I would probably take the Chargers.
I think the Bills would blow out Pittsburgh because Pittsburgh can't score with them. I think Houston would probably beat Pittsburgh, but that'd be interesting and be a battle of defenses, even though the Houston defense is there. If I'm the Chargers, though, and the Chargers are a better team than Pittsburgh, but in terms of matchup wise, that is not a good matchup for the Chargers in terms of the fact that the offensive line's dreadful, and you got Cam Hayward, TJ Watt, Highsmith, and these guys coming after you.
I still think I'd be taking the Chargers in that game. That's what I'm saying. Like, of the AFC division leaders, I think I'd rather go to Pittsburgh than Denver at this point. So yeah, I don't.
Well, I'd
regardless of that, you look at the question you asked, what's the better storyline? It is Phillip Rivers winning a playoff game. I think that's a lot less likely at this point, because you're talking about the Colts are going to have to rip off probably 3 straight wins to end the season here. But that is the better storyline for football. That's the better storyline for us here in San Diego. And that's everything. Yes, Phillip Rivers winning a playoff game.
Rivers winning a playoff game would be historic. You go in the record books. I mean, a 44-year-old quarterback coming off the couch. That would be an amazing story. But focusing on the other story, like Rodgers winning a Super Bowl this late in his career.
That ain't happening, though. It's so
but it's a hypothetical. Rivers also isn't probably winning a playoff game or making the playoffs. It's the hypothetical question. If Rodgers somehow did, and by the way, listen, I'm not sitting here saying the Steelers winning a Super Bowl. That's not what I'm saying. I don't think they are. I think they're going to struggle to win even a playoff game. But if they did, this would be the year that they somehow snuck through, because if you look at the AFC, there's not a single team that is so much better than everyone. I mean, what has been the problem with Pittsburgh? They haven't had a quarterback since Big Ben. Okay, well, as of right now, the only big-time quarterback that we know is a superstar that is in the postseason is Josh Allen. If the Steelers get in the postseason, Lamar Jackson will be out of the postseason. Burrow and Mahomes are already out. So, is it that unfathomable that Mike Tomlin and Aaron Rodgers would go into Jacksonville in round 2 and beat Trevor Lawrence?
I see what you're saying. I do. I just, if we're talking about power rankings, which we're going to do coming up at 12:30, the Steelers might be my last rated team in the AFC playoff picture power rankings. And I'd probably put them even below the Ravens. So it's kind of tricky for me to even imagine them getting past the first round. What's next, Sammy? Let's keep it moving.
Let's go to the NBA Cup Championship tonight.
Is it tonight?
It's tonight in Vegas. Pretty fun matchup, actually. Spurs taking on the Knicks. New York is actually a 2.5-point favorite out there in Vegas. The question is this, though. In their respective conferences, the Knicks and the Spurs toward the top, who has a higher ceiling this year?
Spurs, because of one man and one man only, and he's back. Victor Wembanyama. Look, the NBA just doesn't have somebody else like Victor Wembanyama. I think the Spurs are young, they're talented, they're fun, and here's the problem with them is the fact that the Oklahoma City Thunder exist. They have a tougher road to hoe, so maybe, like our buddy Trey is saying on YouTube, the Knicks have the higher ceiling.
Trey's going with the Knicks.
But I like the Spurs next 10 years. I really do.
Well, okay, yeah. If I was like picking a team to be better in the next 5 years, I would 100% agree with you on the Spurs. They have tons of draft capital. You got Dylan Harper, you got Devin Vassell, you got De'Aaron Fox, you got Stephon Castle. They have maybe the best backcourt in depth of the backcourt of anyone in the NBA, even over Oklahoma City. I would even make that case. Now, Oklahoma City is more talented than them. It would be favored than them in the postseason. We look at the Knicks. That's why I'm going with FedEx Trey. The Knicks, like, who is their competition? The Cavs were supposed to be the team that was the favorite early in the year. They're currently sitting in the 7th spot right now. I think they'll get better as the season goes along, but the Cavs aren't some invincible team. The Raptors are a fun team, but they haven't been there before. I think Philly, actually, at the end of the day, will be the toughest competition for them when Embiid, he's healthy now, but he kind of fully gets back into everything. You got Maxey, Edgecombe. And like the Eastern Conference, like Boston doesn't have Tatum right now. The Pacers, Halliburton's hurt. I see the Knicks' path to the NBA championship a lot easier than the Spurs, because the Spurs, not only do you got to deal with Oklahoma City, you got to deal with Denver, you got to deal with Houston, you got to deal with the Lakers. Like, it's a gauntlet out there in the West, but the Spurs are a very talented team that should be good for years to come. Let's go to story number 3. Arch Manning going back to Texas. So the other quarterbacks in the college football playoff that could really raise their stock, you got Dante Moore at Oregon, you got Ty Simpson at Alabama. What quarterback do you think has the higher upside going into the playoff and can improve their stock the most?
Arch Manning for just a second, and we are going to get back to this coming up next. But Arch Manning.
Yeah, what do you think of Arch Manning going back?
Yeah, Sark said Arch could benefit from another year in college, and I wholeheartedly agree. What Sark didn't say is the fact that Arch Manning's probably going to bring in a $10 million NIL deal next year, which is huge. So with that in place, I want to say, give me the Oregon kid,
Dante Moore,
who's probably going to be flying up your boy Mel Brooks or Mel Kiper's leaderboard coming up.
Kiper actually has him above Mendoza, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, Kiper has made some questionable decisions over the last few years as he morphs into Sammy Long, or Sammy Long morphs into Mel Kiper.
I don't think Mel was wrong. Shador is better than Dylan Gabriel, but that's a story for another day. But this college ball playoff, though, let's just say you're not a fan of any team left in the field, and maybe you're like looking for a reason to watch. It is fun in that it's going to be, we haven't really seen a college football playoff where you've had Mendoza, who's supposed to be the number 1 overall pick and can certainly cement himself with a good playoff performance. I don't think there's really anything he could do that can make him not that. But Dante Moore and Ty Simpson are both playing in this thing and could really rise or fall down draft boards depending on how they play in the NFL draft. And it's going to certainly push quarterbacks down. And again, to our conversation earlier, I think the biggest winners are Mac Jones and Kyler Murray. Like, these guys, if Simpson and Dante Moore put up stinkers in the college football playoff, or let's say they decide to return to school, these guys, we talked about it for years. Darnold, look at what he's doing. Baker Mayfield, look at what he's doing. All these guys that were just cast off in their careers and have now had complete resurrections. I think it's the best time to be a backup quarterback who was maybe once given up on, that can be a future starter going forward in the college football playoff. Is going to tell us a lot about where that's going.
All right, because unbelievably, this is already a conversation before a single college football playoff game has been played. Let's talk about the transfer portal and what we know about what college quarterbacks are doing next year. Already, for some reason, we already know all of this. But if you stay in school, you can make some cash. College quarterbacks transferring and cashing in rather than declaring for the NFL draft. Who's in, who's out, we'll tell you on the other side. Plus, we got a pair of Aztecs basketball tickets for the Air Force game tomorrow night at Viejas Arena. We'll give those away coming up next as well. It's San Diego Sports 760. You're listening live on the iHeartRadio app. Detroit does rock city, Sammy Long. That was a very appropriate song choice because we got a text from the 619 that says, hey, Sammy, ever hear of a team called the Detroit Pistons when you're talking about teams in the East?
619, I do. I agree with you, actually.
Pistons at the top of the East right now.
Before the season, I actually did call that they would be very good. I forgot them. I realized that right after I said the Knicks. But yes, the Pistons are a little young, but the Pistons could be a massive threat. And Cade Cunningham, people aren't paying attention. Cade Cunningham should be in the MVP conversation.
Quietly. We like it. All right. Aztecs back at Viejas Arena tomorrow night when they take on the Air Force Academy. It's actually the Mountain West Conference opener for San Diego State. Pre-game coverage will get going at 6. John Schaefer, of course, will be on the tip just after 7 right here on your home for the Aztecs, San Diego Sports 760. Big game for the Aztecs because they're going to need to win it by 25. We'll get into it a little bit more tomorrow, but Air Force really struggling to start the year and San Diego State needing to get back on track, especially ahead of what's coming up this Saturday, which is, by my estimation and by every logical reasoning in the world, the biggest game of the year for San Diego State basketball is this Saturday when they take on the Arizona Wildcats in Phoenix.
It's going to be fun.
That's the number 1 team in the country you're going up against. This is going to be insane. It's going to be awesome, and it would be such, like, talk about some of the biggest wins in school history. Like, we could talk about the Final Four game, of course. We could talk about upsetting Alabama in that same NCAA tournament. This one would be up there just because of the ramifications it could have for the San Diego State basketball team. That's coming up on Saturday. Going to be a blast. All right. Also on the text line, 858 says, Sammy, I need you to hit a banger on Prize Picks today. Student loans hit, and we need that Christmas money. I'm throwing my entire PP Prize Picks
we got some
balance
pressure today
at whatever your lineup is.
We're
maybe
getting
just a 3-legger.
Yeah, we're gonna do a 3-legger. We got some. We actually, there's no NFL. We just have NBA Cup on tonight. Maybe we'll see if there's some college basketball involved, but we're gonna get some NBA, maybe a little college basketball. Get a nice little winning lineup tonight.
Maybe we'll see. We could all use one. We were close again last night.
I know. I needed DK to get more targets. That was the problem. Kenneth Gainwell destroyed his over by like 70 yards, and Achan got more receptions. But yeah,
the one touchdown by DK Metcalf was one of the coolest touchdowns we've seen all year. And that was another, like, Miami. Did you forget how to tackle?
Well, when he bounced off, that's what the game script. Unfortunately, I thought the Dolphins were going to keep it a little closer. The game script meant they didn't throw the football in the second half, so it led to DK not getting targets.
And also, the game script led to Miami just not tackling. So why would you do anything other than run the football or short little passes to a guy like DK Metcalf who rips off a 20-yard touchdown run? Anyways, we can talk about Miami's fraud they committed last night all we want, but. Right now, I do want to talk about college football because, yes, the announcement came, and I think we kind of expected it after the season that Arch Manning had, but Arch Manning returning to Texas next year. Now, Arch Manning's NIL money is hypothesized about. They say it could be $4 million. It could be $7 million. Maybe it's somewhere in between. Who knows? I do know next year it's going to be even more because the preseason hype we had for Arch Manning this year is only going to grow next year in what should be a bounce back season.
Right, because he played, to be fair to him, he played better the last month and a half.
He really wasn't that bad, but I think we all like to clown, and so we clowned him because of the performances at the beginning of the year. But Arch Manning returning next year with the brand of Texas, the dude's going to get broke off, and it makes sense because would you rather be what would he be at this point, Sammy, a third-round pick in the NFL draft?
I think there might be because of the raw talent. I think you might see some teams in the late first round jump back up to get in, but that's purely off projection and people being excited about what he could be.
Also a team that at the back end of the first round who needs a quarterback. How many of those are there? Right. So you look at where Arch Manning is right now, and it makes a lot of sense for me to see him go. Like, I wanted Cooper Flagg to go back for another year in college. I do think that the opportunity that NIL presents is not only good for the player putting money in his pocket, but also for us as pro sport watchers, as college sport watchers, to see continuity in programs in college and see a better product once they get to the NFL.
Totally.
This is going to be huge for Arch Manning next year at Texas. And I hope the preseason hype is just as big. I hope the pressure is just as big on him to be great heading into next season. Because as college football fans, we're going to see a better product on the field.
Right. And to that end, it used to be if you can get drafted, you get drafted. Like that was just not negotiable. You just went to the NBA or the NFL.
Boom, generational money. Generational money. Family's future.
Now, so in this college football playoff, we got Dante Moore at Oregon. You got Ty Simpson at Alabama. And I forgot you got John Mateer at Oklahoma. You have 3 guys that could be going after Mendoza. So it's kind of going to be whoever blinks first because all 3 of those guys, and then including Arch obviously because of the brand, because of his name, the fact that he's a household name and his play on the field hasn't deserve that, but the fact that he's related to the Mannings, he's been in all those Viore commercials. I mean, he's everywhere. He's Arch Manning. He plays at Texas, one of, if not the biggest brand in college football. All these players, though, it's going to be who blinks first. Because if, let's say, Dante Moore has a good game or two, he destroys James Madison, goes on the road, maybe pulls an upset in the second round, and he decides to go to the NFL draft. If the other two don't go, Dante Moore, what do they say in real estate? The best house to have is not the nicest house. It's the second nicest house, because once the nicest house goes, you're going to be jumping that price. Whoever the second quarterback in this class is going to get probably drafted way higher than they should. But then the other guys to that end, if you're hearing, if you're Ty Simpson or John Mateer, hey, you're a day 2 pick, go back to Alabama, go back to Oklahoma and make a ton of money, make $5 million, and then just try to improve your stock for next year. It is crazy how the transfer portal and money has changed college basketball and college football.
And then you think about next year, and this class that we thought was going to be so good this year, but has honestly been a pretty big letdown. Next year, if all those guys go back and get another year in college under their belts, and then you add Julian Sayin, USC is
Jade Maeva from USC, you got Julian Sayin from Ohio State, like you said. Now you're going to make it even harder on yourself because there's more guys coming out.
But it's good for college football. Like, you start forecasting what next year is going to look like. You're going to have this elite crop of quarterbacks who are all sticking around for another year, getting better for another year. And then we get to see that slowly transition into the NFL. I think there's a lot of negatives around the world of NIL. I really do. And I hate the fact that players and coaches can just kind of at the drop of a dime say, no, I don't want to be here anymore. I'm going over there.
Right.
It's bad for programs. It's bad for the game. I agree with all that. Where NIL is incredible for the game is the NCAA has been making money off these players' backs for generations, and not a dime has gone to the player. That's
building
BS.
Buildings off these players that have never got a dime.
Building wings of hospitals off of these players. So that's bad. B, right now you have opportunities where players like Arch Manning, instead of just jumping at an NFL draft spot where he'd be a backup for 3 years and we never see him again, he's going to be primetime TV all of next year with Texas. And he's going to get better to maybe be a day 1 starter when he gets to the NFL.
And I know we're going to break, but like, take college basketball, for example. What's been the criticism of college basketball? Sometimes people don't understand, unless you are a diehard college basketball fan, there's no continuity in the teams. Like, Duke has a new team every year because half their team's getting drafted to the NBA. What do we love seeing in college basketball? We love seeing teams that have been together for 3-4 years. And you see in the tournament, you start to become familiar with them. You're like, oh, okay. You kind of see the tournament runs and things like that. The NIL is keeping some players, and then the players that are ready to go to the NBA or ready to go to the NFL go and are much better. I think the seasoning of playing more seasons actually will help pro teams in both sports down the road.
Speaking of college hoops, right now, pair of tickets for San Diego State and Air Force tomorrow night at Viejas Arena on the line. Caller number 7 at 877-767-4760. You're going to the game. We'll see you there as well. It's San Diego Sports 760. You're listening live on the iHeartRadio app. Power Rankings coming up next.
The sport's sponsored by Lexus Escondido, where you'll experience auto enjoyment. Last night, Monday Night Football, Dolphins lose to the Steelers 28-15. This morning, Mike McDaniel was asked the question whether Tua Tagovailoa would remain the starting quarterback, and he said, quote, everything is on the table. Might be Quinn Ewers' time down there in Miami. And the NBA Cup Championship going on tonight. Spurs, Knicks, live from Vegas, both with a record of 18-7. That game is going at 5:30. New York is a slight favorite at 2.5. This holiday season celebrated December to remember at Lexus Escondido with exceptional offers across the Lexus lineup. Discover the art of performance and hospitality perfected. Lexus Escondido, redefining the luxury experience. Experience amazing.
San Diego Sports 760, Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you till 2 o'clock today. John and Jim will take over then. Handyman Matt winning those Aztecs basketball tickets. Congrats, Handyman Matt. If you ever need a counter or something fixed, we know a guy.
Handyman Matt.
It's in his name. Hey, if you're listening on the free iHeartRadio app, do us a favor and please do tap that plus button. Helps us out a lot with the bosses here at iHeart, and it makes us easier for you to find on a daily basis when you jump in the car. If you have Apple CarPlay or something, it'll literally say San Diego Sports 760 on your presets when you open up the iHeartRadio app. So join us there and enjoy us every single day, man. We love being here. We hope you love listening. We do whatever we can to make that happen. Our buddy Trey on YouTube saying MVP this season should be Matt Stafford, IDK, how people are saying Josh Allen is. I think it's because Josh Allen's individual performance has been so incredible this year, leading his team to wins solely on his back. And yeah, you throw James Cook in there. But Matthew Stafford has played essentially a perfect season. I do think this week's Thursday night football game, Stafford,
if
Rams,
he wins it,
Seahawks, this is the biggest game of the year.
Well, it's tough because to that end, I see the Josh Allen point is if you think MVP is the most valuable player to their team,
you take Josh Allen off that team, the Buffalo Bills are nowhere close to the playoff conversation.
Then Josh Allen should deserve the MVP. If you're going who has played probably the most consistent best ball of the season, I would go Stafford. I also don't think just because Drake May lost on Sunday, he's completely out of that as well. He is 1-1 against Josh Allen. I think it's really down to those three for the remainder of the season.
Sure does seem like it. All right, Sammy, let's get to the power rankings, shall we? Give me some horns. There they are.
Love that
sound. Computer's fixed, so it's not even skipping anymore.
Yeah, it's not crackling in and out. You go first, Fletch, with your fifth.
I would love to. My first team, which is my number 5 seed, is actually my biggest faller from last week to this week. I had them at number 2 a week ago. And all it took was blowing a 21-point lead to the Buffalo Bills and the potential MVP in Josh Allen for them to fall this far in my rankings. I do have the Patriots there, not necessarily by any fault of their own, but everyone else on my list won last week. And everyone else on my list, I'm actually starting to see a window for them to win the Super Bowl. The Patriots, I think, are the one team in my top 5 who I cannot see winning a Super Bowl this year, even though I think they're really, really damn good. And next year, watch out, world, because the Patriots are back, but the Patriots are my number 5 team.
Okay, I like that. I'm actually going to piggyback on you at number 5. I can't drop New England out just because they lost the game. Yeah, so there are concerns. Josh Allen, James Cook went Superman. I mean, there's not a lot that you can do. They got him. I think that game meant a lot more to the Buffalo Bills than it did the New England Patriots. I will give New England credit for being up in that game. Bills deserve a lot of credit for coming back, but I'm not ready just because they lost one game to knock them out of the top 5. They were, I believe, my number 3 team last week. Close loss to the Buffalo Bills, division rivals. Bills needing it more. I'm dropping them 2 spots to number 5.
And the Bills, who were my number 5 team a week ago, have moved up to my number 4 team. That was a ballsy performance, man. And I know that the narrative kind of Sammy runs with, and I tend to agree with for the most part, is the way Bills win games during the regular season is not sustainable for the postseason. You can't do it over 4 straight games. But then I look at who their quarterback is, and I look at Mike Vrabel's press conference after the game where he was talking about Josh Allen and said, yeah, that's why the dude makes $60 million a year. I do see a situation where Josh Allen could just win games like that in the postseason, especially a very non-crowded AFC. Watch out, world, because if Josh Allen doesn't get a Super Bowl this year, people like Sammy Long are going to have an absolute field day with the AFC kind of clearing up. But look at the AFC right now. Patriots, Broncos, Texans, Jaguars. The Bills should be able to run through this thing, even if it is Josh Allen just playing Superman.
All right, my number 4 team, the Seattle Seahawks. The Seattle Seahawks Really like what Seattle's done. And this game on Thursday, the winner is going to be number one.
Yes.
Well, the winner of this game, the Rams win, they'll be number one. The Seahawks win, they'll have proved everything I'm about to say wrong. And I'm a massive fan of what the Seahawks have done. Defense, third best pressure rate in the league. Mike McDonald's been fantastic. Got to give Darnold a lot of credit for, even though it was a slugfest of a game, you knew the Colts were going to come play. Rivers, a lot of attention on him, kind of playoff hopes on the line, really on the line this week against the Niners. My concern with the Seahawks and why I'm not putting them higher and why I dropped them a little bit is, let's look at who they've beaten. Before the Colts, Phillip Rivers, 44 years old. The Falcons, the Vikings with no McCarthy at quarterback. They have Brosmer. The Titans, the last game they played was the Rams, where they lost by 2. Darnold had 4 picks, but they barely lost. That's a credit to them. I'm just the lack of competition that they have played recently. I'm going to dock them a few because I think some teams have moved up. They're my number 4 team right now. But again, if they win on Thursday, they will be number 1 next week.
My number 3 team is going to be the Denver Broncos. Look, they're 12-2, sitting atop the AFC all by their lonesome. They're about to clinch the AFC West, which has been a little bit of a disappointing division this year because of one team in particular, the Kansas City Chiefs. But the Denver Broncos, nonetheless, I've been waiting to see Bo Nix in one of those games where it's like, dude, your quarterback's going to have to win you a football game. And that's exactly what he did against the Green Bay Packers. He got helped out a little bit. There were some key injuries on Green Bay's team. Micah Parsons, most notably. Christian Watson went down with injury in that game. But I look at that as a performance where Bo Nix needed to step up and, as a passer, go out and win the game. And he played his best game of the season by far. It's a good thing to be hot near the end of the season. Bo Nix and the Broncos maybe made a little bit of a believer out of me. I do actually see a situation where the Denver Broncos could end up in the Super Bowl this year. I don't think they win that Super Bowl. But the Denver Broncos are a damn good defense. Quarterback who's burgeoning. I'm not ready to say superstar or top 5 or anything like that, but Bo Nix proved a lot to me last week against the Green Bay Packers. Denver Broncos number 3.
Buffalo Bills number 3 for me. That was impressive.
Oh, Sammy Long.
I'm very fair. I'm very fair. Buffalo Bills.
I think that means Denver fell out of his top 5.
Is that what you think?
Unless you have him at 2, which would be a shocking turn of personality.
Well, we're going to get to that in a second. The Buffalo Bills are number 3 right now. Very impressive. That game, I'll be honest, I was watching the Chiefs game and I saw the score and I was very happy when it was 21-0. I was ready to come on here and destroy Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. James Cook and Josh Allen, though, are unbelievable. This is what we know. Those two together, in my estimation, the best quarterback running back duo in the game, with James Cook has really emerged as a top 5 running back. It's going to come down to, can the receivers hold up in the defense? The defense is not been great. There's been some injuries. Ed Oliver on the front 7 a little bit. Matt Milano been in and out of the lineup this season. My number 1 concern, though, for the Bills is the receiving core. Khalil Shakir being the number 1 receiver and Dalton Kincaid essentially a tight end doesn't instill a lot of confidence. I keep going back to this. They can beat anybody on any given Sunday. And if I'm a team at the top of the AFC, do I want to see Josh Allen, the Bills, coming? Absolutely not. But I do have concerns that they're going to be able to play like that for 4 straight games. I think they win a couple games and probably get bounced. But right now, they're my number 3 team after beating the New England Patriots.
Number 2, the Seattle Seahawks, who I've never been a bigger fan of in my life. Never once in my lifetime have I rooted for the Seattle Seahawks in a football game. It's coming this Thursday night. This Thursday night, if the Seahawks beat the Rams and the Niners win out, Niners get the number 1 seed in the NFC. But here's why I really like the Seahawks, and I have them as my number 2 team in the NFL as of right now. They're essentially a mini Rams. I kind of had this epiphany yesterday. They're the Rams 2 years ago. They have a really young, awesome defensive line. Highlighted, is it Leonard Williams? He's the guy up front, the big defensive tackle. I'm pretty sure that's his name. Sam Darnold is on his way. He even kind of plays like Sam Darnold or like Matthew Stafford. He's a little bit risky with some of his throws, but he's a baller, dude, and he's become a baller since getting to Seattle. And here's what I noticed mostly about Seattle over the last few weeks. They're no longer just winning with run game and defense. They're winning because of Sam Darnold, not in spite of Sam Darnold and some of the mistakes he makes. I'm telling you, I might be taking the Seahawks straight up this Thursday night against the Los Angeles Rams. I really like what they have built there in Seattle. I think it's special. This defense all of a sudden is threatening the Denver Broncos for the best defense in football this year. So Seahawks at 2, on the verge of being 1.
Denver Broncos are number 2. They're one of the most complete rosters in the NFL.
You've really grown up, Sammy.
Well, no, we'll get to what I'm going to say. The defense is unbelievable. Pat Surtain being back completely changes everything. The only weakness of the Denver Broncos defense is Riley Moss. He's not good at number 2 corner, and he probably got away with some calls on Sunday against the Packers that they didn't call one at the end of the game. But Dre Greenlaw, that front seven, Hufanga's been unbelievable. What great offseason additions by Sean Payton and the staff. The running game, RJ Harvey, J.K. Dobbins has been fantastic. Offensive line's been a lot better than I thought. And the receiving, Troy Franklin has really emerged. You see that connection with Bo Nix, Cortland Sutton being the one. My problem with the Broncos is Bo Nix. And I know I'm going to get flack on here. People go, he had 4 touchdowns on Sunday. Yes. Let's not get lost on us that Micah Parsons went out in the third quarter and he started diming them. There were a couple drop picks by that Packers defense. I have to give the Broncos props. They've won 11 straight games. They've beaten some good teams. That was a tough Green Bay Packer team coming in. I do think the injuries to Watson and Micah definitely helped them out a little bit. My concern is this. If Bo Nix can play like an elite level passer, they're going to go really far. I haven't seen it yet. And yes, text line, I am going to wait to see it in the playoffs. I don't believe Bo Nix is in the AFC field right now. I would take him 4th, 5th, or maybe 6th in terms of quarterbacks in the AFC playoff picture. That's why I don't believe in Denver going to the Super Bowl. But right now, they're winning football games. They're 11 straight. I can't disrespect them. Shout out to the Broncos. They've been very good.
All right, our number 1 team is the Los Angeles Rams.
I don't think you can debate that.
And we don't really need an explanation either. Our guy FedEx Trey saying, if the Bears aren't top 5, I want breakfast burritos from both of y'all after we win our division. Look, if you're going to complain about us not putting them in, complain about ESPN too. They're number 10 in ESPN's power rankings.
As FedEx Trey, as you know, I've been a massive Bears supporter. And the reason why I docked the Seahawks was because of the lack of competition. I got to give the Bears credit. Caleb, unbelievable against the Browns, but it is the Browns.
It is the Browns. With Shedeur Sanders.
I had the Bears at 6. I had Houston at 7. I had the Niners at 8. That's what I had. That was what if I went down the list.
Whoa. Okay, so yeah, I was deciding between the Jags, the Packers, the Niners, the Bears, and the Eagles, and the Bears might be the last team I choose out of that list.
You keep disrespecting the Bears. First off, Bears are beating Green Bay on Saturday. That's happening.
Green Bay's pretty hurt, so I could see that happening. But Green Bay's season may be over.
I got to give some love to Jordan Love, though. Not like
we got a break. You can save your Jordan Love for the commercial break.
I've been critical of Jordan Love. I thought he played very well on Sunday.
He did play well. All right, long shots on the other side. We got one of our listeners who's putting his entire bankroll into long shots today. The ammo.
Thank you for the trust.
The pressure's been ratcheted up on Sammy Long. Let's do it next. It's San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. San Diego Sports 760, man. I love what we get to do, Sammy, on a daily basis. I really do. Think about what we get paid to do. We get to talk about sports. You get to make daily fantasy lineups and bets on the air on a daily basis.
I used to get my phone taken away in class for doing this, picking up fantasy football waivers during science class.
That is actually the number one thing I got in trouble for in middle school and in high school, was talking too much during class.
Oh, I definitely,
Take that, Mrs. Penders. Now I get paid mediumly for it.
I got my phone taken away on NFL free agency, and then I went up to the teacher and I said, like, I actually need it. She's like, why? I go, because I need to stay informed for my future career. And then she said, you can get it from the principal's office at the end of the day. I was like, you know what? You're no fun. You don't get to own my phone.
It's San Diego Sports 760. Thank you for being here today. We genuinely do mean that. There's no us without you. And coming up tomorrow night, Aztecs back on the court at Viejas Arena. They got the Air Force pregame coverage. Gets going at 6. Schaefer's going to have the tip just after 7 right here on your home for the Aztecs, San Diego Sports 760. All right, we got to get to a long shots here, and we're running out of time, so let's get to it quick. Sammy, do you understand the stakes of today's long shots?
I am. People are putting their livelihood, their house.
The whole bankroll from one of our listeners is going on long shots today. So with that being said, Sammy, smash it.
You looking for some luck? Want to win big? Gotta play big.
You are so money and you don't even know it.
Time to take a chance.
Pay that man his money.
With long shots.
You're about to break through. I know you are. We had that 1 for 4 maybe last week that was in there.
But remember, it was the closest. It missed by a combined 6 points.
It was amazing. And last night was another 3 out of 4, or we were just 1 away. So tonight's going to be a good one. I got a good feeling about it. Sammy, where are we going?
Yeah, we get 2 of 3s, 3 of 4s, and then we start getting on later.
We need some big tennis tournament to happen.
Yes. Oh, by the way, wait for the French Open. Our French Open picks were unbelievable. Indian Wells coming up here in a month or two. Dude, the little tennis gardens out in Palm Springs.
All right, where are we going today? Should we go to that?
I would love to go to the tennis gardens. That's like the hot ticket out there in Palm Springs.
Let's do it.
We're broadcasting live. Hell yeah.
Sure.
All right, this is all NBA Cup. Quick little 3-hitter right here. Okay. We're going game flow though. We're doing 3-leg same game parlays. Can be tough, but with this one, I feel like this is how the game's gonna flow, and they're gonna flow into each other. All right, Stephon Castle. More than 17.5 points. Wemby gets the headlines, rightfully so. And De'Aaron Fox is the star. He was unbelievable. His time in Sacramento, his time in Kentucky. Stephon Castle's the reason this team's been winning. And if people haven't been paying attention, Wemby just came back last week against the Lakers and won that game. They took apart the Lakers, but before that, the Spurs were like 8-2, 8-3 in their last 10 to 11 games. Stephon Castle's the catalyst for this. He had 22 points against Oklahoma City, 30 points against the Lakers, 18 against New Orleans. He is becoming the dominant guard, even though De'Aaron Fox is back. Stephon Castle's a big night tonight, show out on a national stage, more than 17.5 points. His cohort, De'Aaron Fox, less than 20.5 points. Mikal Bridges is going to be guarding him all night. The Knicks are a really good defensive team. Mikal Bridges is fantastic. That's why they traded those 4 to 5 first-round picks to get him. He's going to be running with Fox all night to make sure he doesn't pop off. That's going to allow Stephon Castle to get a little bit more busy offensively. And then the final pick, Jalen Brunson, more than 22.5 field goals attempted. This team goes the way Jalen Brunson goes. The Knicks are a very cohesive unit. You can tell they like each other. They all play together. Karl Anthony Towns, Mikal Bridges, you got OG Anunoby, you got Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart. But at the end of the day, Jalen Brunson is the star. This team goes the way he goes. He's a fantastic player. I think this is going to be a great game tonight. Brunson, though, I think it's going to be very close. Possible chance of overtime. Jalen Brunson is going to be attempting a lot of shots with Mikal Bridges worrying defensively about De'Aaron Fox. More than 22.5 field goals attempted for Jalen Brunson.
Not to mention it's the NBA Cup, which is basically the Catalina wine mixer.
It's the Catalina wine mixer.
It is the GD, MF, and Catalina wine mixer tonight on, is it TNT?
No, it's Amazon Prime. TNT's done, remember?
Prime, that's right.
Let me repeat it. Stephon Castle for those, more than 17.5 points. De'Aaron Fox, less than 20.5 points. Jalen Brunson, more than 22.5 field goals attempted.
Bam!
Take it to the bank.
Pam? Are you saying Pam?
Pam with 2 M's.
Sorry, I think I could lend some credence on this Pam Bam situation.
He goes, we're going to be interviewing as a team. What if we walked into IR? We're going to be interviewing as a team, guys.
Are you guys wearing tuxedos? That's cool. I get you guys. After the fart, not so cool anymore.
Now it seems a little effed up.
Now it seems a little effed up. Go watch Step Brothers if you didn't get any of the last 45 seconds of conversation.
Who hasn't seen Step Brothers? It's like the most iconic movie of the last 30 years.
It will change your life. I still remember the very first time watching that movie. My brother brought it home from Redbox, and we watched it as a family together.
Redbox. That's a deep cut right there.
And then the scene where Will Ferrell decides to place parts of himself on the drum set. I can still remember my dad saying, "Is that real?"
Is that what he said?
Yeah. And no, it was not real. It was very much a prosthetic confirmed by Will Ferrell.
Fantastic.
All right. They looked like rubber toy, whatever. That's
Salvador's back. Our guy.
Hola, Salvador. How we doing, my friend from Tijuana? Good to see you,
Salvador.
Salvador.
That was my name in Spanish class, Salvador?
That makes sense because it sounds so much like Sammy. Not Samuel.
If Samuel was boring, I was like, I want Salvador. I want something with a little spice to it. You know what I mean?
I was Benjamin.
Benjamin.
Ooh, sounds like a romance novel is what it sounds like.
Benjamin.
All right,
starring.
Quick break here. Hour 2 coming up next. There's an important decision that needs to be made, and we're going to need the text line to weigh in. It involves movie theaters this weekend. So get your fire and fingers ready. 70470. Start your message with team at San Diego Sports 760. Hour 2 is next.
The sport's furnished by Genuine. You got the NBA Cup going on tonight. Spurs taking on the New York Knicks out there in Vegas to win the NBA Cup. Both teams have a record of 18-7. That game is going at 5:30 on Prime Video. New York is a slight favored by 2.5 with the point total set at 233.5. And tomorrow night, San Diego State taking on Air Force live from Viejas Arena. The game gets going at 7 o'clock with Schaefer on the call right here on San Diego Sports 760. The support has been furnished by Genuine.
Steelers versus Dolphins on Monday night in December. I think you know how this goes.
Gets a snap. Dolphins bringing pressure. Throw over the middle. It is complete to DK Metcalf. Hurls aside one defender into the end zone.
Yep, still can't do it below 40 degrees.
Supremely disappointed in the outcome. I think it does a disservice to the objectives, the work that we're doing on this opponent, and flat out, their team was better than our team.
We take a look at the new postseason picture. Congrats to SDSU cornerback Chris Johnson.
They give it to the All-American. Intercepted by Chris Johnson. Blockers out in front, down the sideline, and in for the touchdown.
Second team All-American.
He's a bad man.
And are the Padres on the verge of something huge? Plus,
Devon Achane, more than 4 receptions for the Dolphins running back.
yeah!
DK Metcalf, more than 7.5 reception targets.
What?
And Kenneth Gainwell, more than 26.5 rush yards for that ground attack for Pittsburgh.
Okay! It's 9 days until Christmas. Didn't think ladies were dancing like that. Let's talk about it all right now in the Fletch Zone.
All right, we got 57 minutes of show left, and we got a lot to get to. So we're going to lay it out here kind of like this. I got a question for the text line. Going to need some help with some weekend plans. Okay, we got a lot of NFL still to get to. Derek Togerson is going to be joining the show at 1:30. And yes, I can't believe we did not acknowledge this in the first hour of the show. I put out a tweet about it yesterday. But Chris Johnson, honestly, congrats for second team All-American. Total snub job by whoever decides these kinds of things. The season he put together, it should have been first team All-American for Chris Johnson. But that is a dude you will be playing on Sundays come next year. I have no doubt in my mind about that. The cornerback for San Diego State put himself just what an amazing year he had. And Sammy, I honestly think the distinguishing factor between Chris Johnson being second team instead of first team was the fact that he didn't play against Hawaii.
You think that was it?
I think that was it, because if San Diego State, if he would have played, you're talking about no more deep shots down the left sideline that Hawaii was able to get. I think San Diego State actually probably wins that game if Chris Johnson's in, and boom goes the dynamite.
Well, they also have a lot of SEC Big Ten bias. So,
sure.
Let's look.
But he was the number 1 rated cornerback in the country the entire season.
Totally. He's going to be playing on Sundays, or you transfer somewhere else or back at San Diego State. We'll see what happens.
I think he's out of eligibility. I think he's playing on Sundays.
Oh, he's playing on Sundays. There is a massive bias against the West Coast when it comes to college sports. Let's be honest. When San Diego State plays, a lot of times our kick and tips and basketball are at 7 and 8 o'clock. That's 11 o'clock on the East Coast. So that's why you hear about how all the East Coast schools are so much better than everyone, and they always have bias when it comes to the big time awards. This is it's BS. He got snubbed. He should have been first team, but we all know here locally how good Chris Johnson is.
Amazing. He had a really, really great season. Can't wait to see him if he decides to suit up next. What are we 10 days away? 11 days away now from their bowl game in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I'll be at that one too. That's going to be a lot of fun. All right. Our guy John on YouTube said Step Brothers is to Sammy's generation what Dumb and Dumber was to our generation. What up, boys? I don't think we need to distinguish that. I think
Dumb and Dumber is a fantastic movie as well.
Dumb and Dumber. I feel like I did grow up in the nice little sweet spot where I still like the late 90s, early 2000s movies were very much a huge part of my childhood. And then Step Brothers, which came along in what, 08, 09, somewhere in there?
Yes, because
maybe even a little earlier than that.
My top Pharaoh movie, I love Step Brothers. The only one I put above it is Anchorman.
Well, The Legend of Ron Burgundy.
I mean,
come on.
Anchorman. There's nothing better. Anchorman is one of the few movies like Step Brothers where there is every other line is a killer fantasy.
Look, I love the ladies, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It's Anchor Man, not Anchor Woman.
I hope to God that everyone's seen that movie.
Oh, they have.
Fletch is not saying that.
No, that is Champ Kind, played by David Koechner, who also plays Todd Packer in The Office. friend of the station here on San Diego Sports 760. We love us.
I think The Hangover falls in that category. Wedding Crashers, generational type movies.
Absolutely. I actually recently rewatched The Hangover. It was on TV when I was up visiting.
Hangover's the greatest.
Hangover's a solid flick, but Dumb and Dumber stands alone as well. And I would put them almost in different categories. Yeah, maybe Jay Silves is right. Maybe it is generational. All right, and then we had one other text that I wanted to get to before we need to get into this. Oh, our buddy 484, Handyman Matt, saying thank you for the tickets. Handyman Matt, you are welcome for those tickets. All right, text line 70470. Start your message with the word team. Here's where I'm going to need a little help, and we'll probably not get back to this until the end of the show. This weekend, we got 2 new movies coming out. One of them, Avatar, Fire and Ash. Very excited for this. I've loved the first 2 Avatar movies. I thought they were awesome. And just cinematographically, like James Cameron knocks it out of the park.
Gotta be honest, I've always thought Avatar was overrated.
That's fine. You could think that. A lot of people do, by the way. A lot of people don't get it. And I think just movie wise, I think they're pretty perfect. And they're the best looking movies I've seen since the Lord of the Rings movies. But Sydney Sweeney also has a movie coming out this weekend. And Sammy, I read the book that this movie is based on.
I can't believe you've read the book. That's what makes me laugh.
Well, it is a chick book, but my wife and I listened to it so I didn't read it. I listened to it, but we listened to it on a long road trip that we had. But what I will say, Sydney Sweeney, perfectly cast for this role. And there is going to be a scene in the second part of the movie where you will all understand where I fall on that. My wife would like to see that movie. She doesn't care about Avatar. Here's what I'm thinking I do. Because
your wife wants to go see the Sydney Sweeney movie?
She actually does, because she liked the book. So I'm thinking Friday night, Sydney Sweeney movie, Saturday morning, Avatar movie. But is that too much? Do I get popcorn both times? I don't know. What would you do?
It's too early. Yeah, I like that play because it's too early in the day to be watching the Sydney Sweeney movie on Saturday.
It's going to be a good movie. I can promise you that, Sammy. Lots of intrigue, lots of chaos, lots of scandal.
I wonder if that falls into that romantasy series read I do like twice a day.
Let me tell you, Frida McFadden, who's the author of the book, all of her stuff falls into the romantasy.
Frida
McFadden.
Spicy
we should get her on the
Frida.
show. She has some good books, man. They're definitely like chick books, but they are good reads with lots of intrigue. Oh, you can just take
Friday night.
Card away.
You can go to any theater in the city and you might see Ben Fletcher there.
It'll definitely be probably the Grossmont. What is it? Reading Cinemas in Grossmont. I'll be there a lot this weekend. Just let me tell you that. All right. It's San Diego Sports 760. Let's get to some sports, shouldn't we? That's probably the right way to go. Sammy, let's get to the big 3. Go ahead. Smash it.
Your lunch break is here. Ready to go back to the office and knock the socks off your friends? Co-workers? It's time for the top stories of the day. The Big 3.
858. Avatar is terrible. You could think that 858. I disagree, but that's the beauty of being in America.
I'm not an Avatar guy. Like, it wasn't a terrible movie, but I never got the people are like, this is Star Wars-esque. It's one of the best movies I've ever seen. I'm like, I don't get that.
Yeah, I'm with you there. So here, a lot of people have the problem with Avatar. They have this problem. It makes humans look dumb. And I get that. It's like the humans are kind of the enemy in the plot.
That's not why I didn't like it, though. I found myself I was like, I don't know, just the whole world, and they're going in the tube.
Travis Dale's chief complaint about Avatar is the world of Avatar.
What?
The whales have tattoos.
That's
TD. It's not our world. Maybe in Pandora they do have tattoos. The fact that hangs you up on a movie like action.
That
awesome.
is such a Travis Dale comment. It makes so much sense.
Acting really cool. Action great. Storyline fun. Whales have tattoos. I'm out. That's very lazy in my opinion. All right, Sammy, where are we going?
All right, Giants in the running for the number 1 overall pick, losing a lot of games. There's been concern. Jackson Dart has been evaluated, I believe, for his 3rd concussion this year. If you're the Giants and you somehow land the number 1 pick, would you take Fernando Mendoza?
Nuh-uh. No chance, no way. I would trade that first pick to move back potentially in the first round. Am I the only one that sees the Giants as a team that's actually set up pretty nicely for success right now? Like, I look at, especially on the offensive side of the football, next year coming back, someone needs to have a talk with Jackson Dart to stop putting his head out there for people to just smash it, because you can't have your quarterback missing every other week with a concussion. But Cam Scatterbo electrified the NFL with his first 5 or 6 games before he got hurt this year. Malik Neighbors, we know, has the ability to be a superstar wide receiver in this league. Had an unfortunate knee injury. Thank you, MetLife. God burn that place to the ground, please. But I do look at this Giants team, at least on the offensive side of the football, and I'm like, you got a lot of life and a lot of spark here on this side of the football for the first time in what feels like a generation for New York Giants fans. So why not roll with that into next year and see what you got? And if Jackson Dart still can't stay healthy, then maybe the following year you're looking at the draft. But for now, why would you mess with this? It looks like a fun offense. Trade that pick, get a couple first rounders on the other side, use them on defense, bulk that side of the football up, and hell, maybe throw an offensive lineman in there. But I think the Giants are heading in a very good direction.
Right. Well, look at the Cowboys. Look at when the Cowboys, when that year Dez got hurt and Romo got hurt and they bottomed out. Then they got Zeke. Then they end up getting Dak later in the draft. Like sometimes teams have to bottom out for a year to come back. And the Giants have 3 young stars on offense: Scatabo, Dart, and Neighbors. And then you got a defense that has Abdul Carter. You got a defense that has Kayvon Thibodeau. You got a lot of talent, Dexter Lawrence, on that defense. This team could be a legit threat in the NFC next year. I don't know why you would mess with the chemistry. Look, I get it. The Giants and Jets have been starved for a quarterback. Jets forever, and the Giants ever since Eli. So they don't want to be the guy that passes up Mendoza, who's the quote can't miss prospect. But
do we all believe that?
What, that he's a?
Do we believe that Fernando Mendoza has a higher chance of not busting than half the other quarterbacks?
Well, my thing is this: it's like you could take that to what you were saying. The fact that Mendoza is the only, quote, surefire pick in the draft, you're going to have a gazillion. The Jets are going to want him. They probably don't want to trade him the Jets because if he's good, then they got to deal with that in their own building. But the Raiders, there are countless teams that are going to be looking for a quarterback that you could get a king's ransom for, build with your offense next year with your pass rush, and then you look at the Giants next year and like this team could actually be something. So I don't know why you would mess with Dart. I think what Dart's had to deal with Neighbors and Scatabo getting hurt and in an iffy offensive line at best is extremely impressive. I don't know why you would go away with that.
Who next?
Let's go to Vegas. So the Raiders, Pete Carroll said he doesn't believe he's coaching for his job the last 3 games of the season. He was asked if his job's on the line. Question is this though: is Pete Carroll been the problem in Vegas? And would you keep him for the future? Because they might be looking at a Mendoza, they might be looking at a quarterback, or would you get rid of Carroll and start clean?
I also don't think Pete Carroll's coaching for his job, but that doesn't mean he shouldn't be. Look, the Raiders, it was a big swing to bring Pete Carroll back into the fold at his age, and he looks younger than he is, which is great for Pete Carroll. It looks like he's kept himself healthy, but look at the way the Raiders have been coached this year. It seems like the game of football has moved past him. We watched this Raiders team in the preseason. We thought that this roster would actually be good enough to compete. Geno Smith has regressed. Ashton Janty has been wildly misused, or he's just not good. Either way, that's a problem for the Raiders. But to your point, I guess it's not all Pete Carroll's fault. He doesn't have much of a roster to work with, but his calling card was kind of that historic defense in Seattle. Has the Raiders defense looked like it's been wildly improved after last season? My answer is no. So maybe he gets another opportunity with a new draft class of defenders in, but how many years does Pete Carroll realistically have left, and how many years is it going to take to rebuild this Raiders organization? That's the biggest problem Pete Carroll's looking at.
Well, they're the team that needs the quarterback, because if you look at them and a defense, yeah, the Raiders have not gotten a secondary right for about 15 years now. I mean, it's kind of crazy that they literally have not done it, but they have talent. Like you look at, I don't really get why they traded Jacoby Myers. I guess I get it in terms of he's probably going to leave in free agency and you got to pick back for him, but Genty looks like a superstar running back. We know Bauer's superstar tight end. You have Max Crosby. If I was the Raiders, I would have traded Max Crosby and just completely rebuilt the thing. Bowers and Genty are pieces to build on. This all comes down to if you believe Pete Carroll. I don't believe this season is Pete Carroll's fault. They signed Geno Smith as a stopgap quarterback, knowing they were going to suck. Anyone telling you in Raiderland that they were going to be good this year was delusional.
Or me.
Yeah,
for some reason.
You do love yourself some Raiders.
Guess what? The Raiders next year, dark horse playoff team.
I mean, I think if you brought Pete in for this year, then you got to give him next year to try to do something in the draft. But if you didn't believe that he could do that in the draft, why would you have hired him last year?
And if you do fire him, where are you going? Because there's a lot more attractive head coaching openings for the guys who are at the top of the list.
Right, like the Giants would be a way more attractive job. I guess the only caveat would be if you do believe Mendoza is the guy and they were to land the number 1 pick, that could be very attractive for someone.
John Gruden?
Well, I don't think they're going to bring that back. But yeah, Gruden had them working. They were a legit football team.
And I mean, if you believe that John Gruden's the only person who had those emails, I don't know if I do, but whatever. That's a different story for a different time. I think he might earn another shot to coach, actually. Hot take. Sammy, do we have one more we can squeeze in here?
Yes. Chris Canty had the audacity to say on First Take this morning that Andy Reid should be fired. Do you want to react to that before I do?
It is ridiculous, the notion of it. Look, Andy Reid is the Chiefs head coach until Andy Reid doesn't want to be the Chiefs head coach. This year, it's not Andy Reid's fault. It's not Patrick Mahomes' fault. We could just stop talking about stuff like that. I know it's fun to poke Sammy, and you could look at him right now. He's pissed, and it's very fun to have that mentality. But that's exactly what Canty was doing this morning. He was trying to poke Sammy Long and people like.
But he's
Sammy
he's
Long.
being serious, and I just
No, he's not, Sammy. He's looking for clicks, and you got to understand that about ESPN. Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long, we give it to you how we see it. ESPN has narratives.
There are some people that think this though, and I can't. That's astounding to me that a guy who was in the last 3 Super Bowls for this year could be fired. It's not his fault. The entire offensive line got hurt. It's not his fault. Rashee Rice got suspended the first 6 games of the year. Josh Simmons and out of the lineup. I mean, it was a bad year in Kansas City. It did not go well.
And
but
it's a bad take that he wants people to react to. He understands it's a bad take. It might not even be his take.
I don't know if Chris Canty understands it's a bad take. You should have watched the clip of him saying this.
I saw it and I laughed and it was fun. And I said, oh my God, if Sammy sees this, he's going to be pissed.
If that's the case, then why isn't Sean McDermott been fired? Why isn't John Harbaugh been fired? Why isn't every other coach in the NFL been fired?
Well, you don't have to take it seriously, Sammy. Andy Reid's going nowhere. Andy Reid has more job security than any head coach in football now.
It's insane that because he makes a couple bad decisions on 4th down in a Texan game that 2 weeks ago, that all of a sudden now it's let's fire Andy Reid. Steve Hartman said it last week.
You don't need
Steve Hartman on our show said he should fire Andy Reid.
Steve was also saying that, literally joking to poke you.
No, he said it on air during the Super Bowl that he should be fired.
Steve was not serious about it. It's very okay, Sammy.
Steve, I promise you, Steve Hartman was serious about that. He said it during the Niners Super Bowl, the first one, that when they were losing, that he should be fired. He was on air on Fox Sports Radio and said Andy Reid should be fired on the spot. Wild.
It's San Diego Sports 760. We got Derek Togerson, by the way, coming up at 1:30 today. And Togs just sent me a text that confirmed a lot of what I think. We'll get to it with Derek Togerson coming up in just a little bit. It is San Diego Sports 760. Coming up next, we are actually going to take a look at the NBA Cup and see if there's any edges you can get betting this game. That's what we do here on San Diego Sports.
Get you some money.
All right, that's next. San Diego Sports 760 plus a pair of tickets for Zach Bryan on the other side. Don't go anywhere. Zach Bryan tickets in 5 minutes. Derek Togerson in 8 minutes. We got a lot to get to here on a Tuesday show. We're also going to get you some insight from Sammy Long on what you can bet on tonight's game for the NBA Cup. But I did want to start with a story that we've kind of missed over the last couple of days, and I apologize for it because this is right up our alley. Diego Pavia, who is the quarterback at Vanderbilt, who is talked about potentially as a NFL player next year, but also is best known, I think, for having a mom that Theo Vaughn wants to date. So they've struck up this friendship. The podcaster Theo Vaughn, who's a hilarious comedian, but they've struck up this friendship. And based on Theo's podcast, Diego Pavia has gained a little bit of notoriety in the world and is maybe one of the more talked about college football quarterbacks of the year. He also finished second in Heisman voting. Now, I want to bring everybody back to May of 2019, and I'm almost positive it was May of 2019 because I remember right where I was when it happened, when Ian Kinsler, who was then playing second base for the San Diego Padres, hit a home run in a crucial moment, and after a terrible season, as he crosses home plate, looks up to the crowd at Petco Park, flipping everybody off in attendance of that game, screaming "F you all" at the top of his lungs. That's something that happened in San Diego. It did not go very well for Ian Kinsler, by the way. He was essentially crucified for a little bit on San Diego Sports Talk Radio, including a show that I was doing at the time. But Ian Kinsler with the F you all moment, Diego Pavia had an F you all moment. After the Heisman, he got snubbed, according to him. He comes in second in Heisman voting, which is great. Schaefer was talking about this yesterday.
Yeah, because Schaefer's got a vote, and he said he
does. Schaefer has a Heisman vote.
He does. Wow, bro, big time.
John Schaefer just got hotter.
Big Schaefer. He said he voted for Mendoza 1, and he had Pavia 2. And this Pavia nonsense, he called out all the voters who didn't vote for him.
Said "F them all" was the quote.
F them all. He's on a campaign tour for Vanderbilt the last couple of weeks to get it in the college football playoff. And himself, he was at the UFC fight 2 weeks ago with like a social media team there. He was at some club and had all the bottle service girls and the stuff basically saying like you screw all the voters, all that stuff. I don't understand what this guy's problem is. Like Pavia, you finished second in one of the most prestigious awards you could win in sports. Winning a Heisman Trophy is a big deal. Hell, they're in the Heisman commercial every year. A Heisman Trophy is a very big deal. You forever go down in lore. You finished second, and this is not some egregious thing that you got screwed out of. You lost to Mendoza, who beat the number 1 team in the country, who won the Big Ten championship and has been the best quarterback all season long. In this bias that he's trying to kind of insinuate that somehow him and Vanderbilt got screwed. You think Indiana has bias? This is not Texas. It's not
a basketball school.
It's a basketball school. Indiana is not having bias towards it. People don't look at Indiana and go, you know what? I want Indiana to be big time in college football.
Can I say something that might be a little controversial and unpopular here?
Please.
I actually kind of applaud Diego for all of this, because I think he realizes that he's 6 foot tall and probably won't work out in the NFL anyways. And right now what he's doing is self-sabotaging himself for any NFL team that thinks about drafting him. So as a senior in college, A, cashing in on some NIL deals, good for you, make some money. B, he's probably setting himself up for a pretty nice podcast deal at the end of this. So if football is not where his future earnings are going to come from because he's 6 foot tall, 207, maybe he has a future in the world of entertainment. And from what I can tell, pretty entertaining dude.
Well, it's just like
smile.
We've seen this whole hype narrative that guys can't play in the NFL. We've seen Kyler Murray get drafted. We've seen Russell Wilson get drafted. Drew Brees. We've seen all these guys get drafted. This guy
is he as talented as any of them?
No, but he's shooting himself in the foot completely with this. And listen, he's gets to do whatever he wants to do. He wants to act like this. It's fine.
Wasn't Russell Wilson undrafted?
No, he was I believe a 3rd round pick out of Wisconsin. I believe he's 3rd round. But yeah, because the former quarterback from Green Bay was supposed to start in Seattle, but he took the job.
It was the moment with his girlfriend going crazy at the draft.
Right.
Yes.
They like Pavia. It's fine, but I understood you campaigning for Vanderbilt to be in it. I get it. The college football playoff selection committee is flawed and you're campaigning for your team to be in it, but taking shots at voters, by the way, guys who will be covering you if you ever do get to the NFL, AKA John Schaefer, probably not going to go too well if you throw a couple interceptions in your debut start, but hey, you do you, bro.
All right. Tonight, what's the over under? What's the spread?
Over under is 233.5 for Spurs and Knicks. Knicks a 2.5 point favorite in this one, neutral site in Vegas. So where are you leaning, Fletch? Who you got winning this game tonight?
What was the point spread?
Knicks actually favored by 2.5.
Spurs went outright. Let's go Wemby.
You go money line?
Come on, Wemby. Spurs went outright, and the over/under was
233.5.
over. Smash it. I like your take about overtime.
Okay. I'm gonna go over. I'm gonna go opposite you. I actually think the Spurs have all the momentum. Spurs got a lot of pressure in this one. Knicks kind of laying in wait. Had a nice little road here. Beat the Orlando Magic, who's been a very good team this year. I think the Knicks is the time to put people on notice, and it's no disrespect to the Spurs, because the Spurs are a very good basketball team and going to be good down the stretch here. But this game means a little bit more to the Knicks tonight to put the East on notice that they're the big dogs, despite the Pistons being number one in the East.
I said 5 minutes. It was 6 minutes, so I apologize for that. But Zach Bryan tickets right now, July 31st, Snapdragon Stadium. A pair of tickets on the line for you and yours, 877-767-4760. Sammy, what caller you want to give these to? We got a
10.
10? Are you sure that's it?
All right, we'll do. Okay, we're going to change it. Caller 13.
Caller 13. You're going to see Zach Bryan. 877-767-4760. Ticketmaster.com for tickets and info. Derek Togerson coming up next.
The sport is furnished by Genuine. NBA Cup tonight. We got the Spurs taking on the Knicks out there in Vegas. Both teams are 18-7. Point spread for this one, the Knicks are currently favored by 2.5 with the point total set at 233.5. That game is going at 5:30. You can watch it on Prime Video. And after the Dolphins lose 28-15 last night over the Pittsburgh Steelers, Mike McDaniel, when asked the question today whether Tua will remain the quarterback after a rough performance last night, he said, quote, "Everything is on the table." Could be Quinn Ewers' time down there in Miami. This support has been furnished by Genuine.
San Diego Sports 760. Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you till 2. John and Jim take over then. It's Budweiser Scott who just won those tickets.
The GOAT, Budweiser Scott.
Budweiser Scott, if I know anything about him, I know he's about to throw one hell of a tailgate down at Zach Bryan. I'm working. I got to figure out which one I'm going to, but my brother and I will be at one of those Zach Bryan shows coming up in July 31st and August 1st at Snapdragon Stadium. Ticketmaster.com to buy those tickets. It's San Diego Sports 760. Togerson's actually calling us right now, Sammy, so we're going to put him on the air here. Derek Togerson, who has an All-American vote in the world of college football. Derek Togerson, who covers all things San Diego sports, including the Padres. Derek Togerson, who is here maybe. Hi, Derek.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Oh, we got you now. This is working. Phones are tricky, man. You know that better than anyone.
I'm guessing my AirPods, try to.
And we lost him again.
Did we lose him again?
Togerson, fix your phone, bro.
Dude, my AirPods are trying to connect to something else. Hang on, let me put these in the case. 1 sec.
All right, it's Derek Togerson. He works with NBC7. Also, the new voice of the San Diego Seals. Here, we're gonna try to reconnect with Derek because this is not working out. So, San Diego Sports 760. While we try to get him back on the phone, I will say, spoil something here. Derek Togerson texted me just a little bit ago. It said that he has a vote for the first team All-American team in the world of college football, and he did put Chris Johnson on it. Because, like I said at the beginning of the hour here, I feel like Chris Johnson got absolutely snubbed. And if we have Derek Togerson of NBC7 now, I'd love to hear his opinion on that as well.
Hey, you got me all right?
You sound beautiful.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, dude, my AirPods kept trying to connect something else, so I turned Bluetooth off. So we're off and running now.
Technology is tricky. So, Derek, you voted for Chris Johnson to be first team All-American?
I did. Even at the time of the ballot, he was the number 1 ranked PFF defensive back in the country. So it's a no-brainer to me. Plus, I've seen the guy play in person many times. He is always in the right position. I've talked to his head coach about how special he is as a leader. I see him and Leonard Moore out of Notre Dame, the sophomore, who's a no-brainer. Those are the 2 guys I had on my first team. I don't understand this.
All right, Derek, we want to get your thoughts on a lot of things here. So we'll go Padres here for a question or two. But the San Diego Padres, it's been an offseason of mixed messaging. Like Albert Pujols was going to be the manager, and then all of a sudden it was Craig Stammen. Yu Darvish was going to take a year off. Now all of a sudden he may miss the rest of his career. The Padres were going to try to keep the payroll around the same, and they may still do so, but they may be doing it without Nick Pivetta or Mason Miller. It's been a confusing offseason to say the least. What's your level of thought that the Padres are going to be contending for a World Series again next year?
Well, the first 2 things you mentioned, they talked to Albert Pujols, so I don't know how serious he was ever going to be the manager. And Yu Darvish, with that kind of an injury and his age, it was always a possibility that he was the possibility of him ending his career now was always right there. So I think what's coming on now is all this stuff about how are they going to reshape the roster. And what kind of came at us from out of nowhere was the Mason Miller talk. So if AJ is really serious about doing something like this, what he's trying to do is remake the roster this year and in the next few years, because he sees Manny's contract's not going to get any better. Xander's contract's not going to get any better. You don't know where you're getting from Tatis year to year. You got to find some other arms in the rotation. Pavetta's probably gone after this year anyway. He's certainly going to opt out if he's anything close to what he did last year. So you got to look beyond this year as well. I think that's what AJ's doing. So he's looking at this going, well, what's my biggest trade chip? Well, it's either Mason Miller, Jeremiah Estrada, Fernando Tatis Jr. Like those are my guys, right? Jackson Merrill, maybe even. Who knows? So he's looking, if I can get rid of one of these guys and fill 3-4 other spots in the rotation and maybe get a couple of prospects to use those to deal somewhere else, that's what he's looking at. So this should, and maybe a little bit shocking to hear or jarring to hear, but knowing AJ Preller, none of this is all that big of a surprise, to be completely honest.
Derek, if you were running the team, which of those guys would you look to trade?
I was thinking about this fairly strongly the other day, and really the only one to me that is keep your damn hands off him is Jackson Merrill. He's the guy because the clubhouse is going to be his probably as soon as this year. He is the perfect mentality for a baseball player. He's productive as can be. He loves San Diego. San Diego loves him. He's the guy, right? Anybody else I am willing to listen to. So if you're talking about the boom or bust one is Tatis, because the fear obviously is he goes back to being 2021 level Tatis, and if that's the case, there is no trade return you can get for someone of that caliber. Or if he's just doing what he did the last couple of years, where he's a very good player, but he's certainly not the elite offensive talent that we have seen him to be, then there is a trade return you can get for him that would be worth it. So that's the one that you're gambling the most, because you could be giving away the second or third best player in the game, or you could be giving away a guy who's really good, but your overall team gets better. Miller is a guy I can see. They've got a lot of bullpen depth, so he's going to bring you the most back, but I don't want to see 104 walk out the door. So you better give me a whole heck of a lot to be able to part with that guy.
The Tatis thing is so interesting to me, Derek, because at the time that contract was signed, it was signed as a statue-worthy contract, meaning Fernando Tatis was going to be so good in his time as a Padre that he would have a statue next to Trevor and Tony. That's what people thought at the time. Now, certainly to this point, he hasn't lived up to the contract whatsoever. But at this point now, that contract, which was signed, 4 or 5 years ago, all of a sudden is an extremely tradable contract. And the Padres would be silly not to at least listen on it. So I don't know where they go from here, but it would be a pretty big admission of being wrong about Fernando Tatis Jr. to trade him at this point. All right, probably enough Padres here. Let's talk about another San Diego legend, a guy named Phillip Rivers, Derek, who graced the NFL field once again for the first time since 2020. And I don't know, I thought he looked pretty good, man. Grandpa was out there slinging it.
I got to cover his entire career. And I will tell you this, man, I've been doing this for 30 years now. Phillip Rivers is, without question, my favorite athlete I have ever covered. And I got the joy of doing his entire career as a starting quarterback. And what really struck me that was impressive was go to the back shoulder throw to Alec Pierce on the drive that set up the 60-yard field goal in the fourth quarter. After that game, he said that he and Pierce worked on that like 4 or 5 times in practice, because he told Alec, you've been running by people, so guys are getting over the top of you, so let's work on this. It's another way to get you open. That's something they worked on Thursday. For the first time, he really threw to him 4 or 5 times and then breaks it out in the most crucial situation of the entire game, and it works perfectly. He was checking into and out of runs. He was changing protections. He was calling out blitzes. And people talk about him running his offense in high school, and yeah, it's the same kind of offense. What he wasn't doing was studying defensive tape. So for him to still understand what the Seahawks, by the way, a top 3 defense in the NFL this year, what they were trying to do to him and be able to change on the fly and communicate that to guys he met on Tuesday was phenomenal. It was one of the most heady and cerebral quarterback performances I've ever seen. Now, is there something lost off the fastball? Absolutely there is. He makes up for that for throwing with some anticipation. And is the footwork gone? The footwork's there, but you saw when he tried to get up after he slipped on the 50, he looks like a 44-year-old man who slipped in the shower trying to get back up. The athleticism was never there, and it looks even worse now. But I'm telling you, man, watching that, I could not take my eyes off it. It was absolutely phenomenal to watch what that man did. I was just rooting like crazy for him.
Derek, what do you make, flipping to Aztecs basketball for a minute, what do you make of this team? Struggled in the Players Era tournament a little bit, couple nice wins the last couple weeks. What are your kind of thoughts about them heading to Mountain West play in Arizona this weekend?
The Mountain West play, they're not going to have all that much trouble in. That's what they're always good at. I think they're still looking at their rotations. They got to figure out how Magungwa fits with all these guys, how much the freshmen are going to be playing. It's really the same thing we say kind of the last couple of years about an Aztec team. They won't have any trouble with Air Force. That Arizona game, man. Now, they lost a couple games, especially to Troy, early in the year that they had really no business losing. That's all resume stuff, right? We're talking about the NCAA tournament. which hopefully they can go ahead and win the Mountain West and not have to worry about that and not have to worry about getting an at-large, and then people start looking at that resume. But if they even take Arizona to overtime, if they find a way to beat them, that erases all of those sins. That is your confession. Say 3 Hail Marys and an All-Father, and you're good. So that's the game that I'm really looking forward to see. Like, have they been kind of working on stuff behind the scenes and now Full Metal Aztecs are unleashed on the Wildcats? Or are we going to see more of the same kind of struggles that we've seen against elite teams the last, going back to last year's NCAA tournament against North Carolina? That's going to be the litmus test. If they look good in that game, I have no worries about them whatsoever.
Yeah, Arizona is another animal entirely. That's a top 5 team in KenPom, top 5 team in net, number 1 in the AP. Arizona is very, very good this year. And you're right. I compared it to, Derek, you remember those book fairs you would go to as a kid where you could get those erasers that were just like magical? That's what that Arizona game is.
Yeah.
It's one of those erasers that is much, much better than the one just at the very top of your number 2 pencil. All right, before we let you go here, Derek, we're going to need a sampling of this PA announcer voice that you apparently have now with the San Diego Seals. So why don't you just take the floor here? I've been to some Seals games. It's a lot of fun, man. The PA announcer, it involves a lot in the game. You got a heavy workload on you. So let's hear it. What's an example if you were introducing Sammy Long to about to come into a game?
Okay, well, it's not the same if you don't have the PA system and the crowd and the environment. It doesn't feel the same. It doesn't sound the same. It's simply not the same, right? What I will say is these games are so freaking much fun. Go out to a Seals game, right? You don't have to know anything about lacrosse. What you're going for is the event, right? The event is what you want to experience because it is just an absolute blast going to these games, which is why I wanted to get involved with them in the first place, right? It's so much fun to be there every week. Their next game is at home on January 3rd. It's a Saturday night, 7 p.m. start. So come on and check that out. But if I was going to introduce Sammy, what's your nickname?
Salvador.
Yeah, we'll go Salvador. Spanish in high school.
Okay, here we go. Oh, what number would you wear?
13, definitely.
13. All right. Number 13. At forward, they call him Senor Salvador. It's Sammy Long.
Yeah.
You don't need a PA system for that. That was excellent, Derek.
It's fantastic.
You got to get out there. SealsLAX.com, by the way. We just chatted with Wes Berg on the show last week, Derek, and he actually had some really nice things to say about you, which I couldn't believe someone had such nice things to say about Derek Togerson. So you have one fan.
No, Wes is great, dude. He's one of the nicest guys you'll meet in professional sports. B, that beard is immaculate. I don't know how he does it.
He's a very handsome guy. I don't know if he's single or not, but I was trying to figure out my list of friends who are ladies who are single of which one I should have him try to date. But potentially he has a whole family. I don't know. Very handsome guy.
Oh yeah, he's Wes is not doing all that poorly for himself in that regard.
I believe it. All right, Derek Togerson, NBC7. Are you working on anything big for later this week?
See you later this week. Obviously more Phillip Rivers getting ready for the 49ers. We're keeping tabs on what the Aztecs are doing, getting ready for not only the New Mexico Bowl, but also Arizona. And just kind of cruising along to get to the holiday season. I think right now there's kind of that kind of lull in the schedule where you're still looking at the NFL, but it's kind of like, all right, this is get us to the playoffs at this point, but also this is a time to spend with family. So not trying to focus too much on work, trying to kick it more at the house with all of our beautiful decorations.
Well, very happy holidays to you and Mrs. Togerson and your children as well, Derek. We'll catch up with you soon.
Thanks, guys. Always a pleasure to be with you. Happy holidays, and everyone listening as well.
There he goes. Derek Togerson, one of the best here in San Diego. We appreciate his time whenever we get it. And I don't know, I kind of think Sammy should take up professional lacrosse as a side hobby, Sammy. That intro sounded too good.
Hold on, you think I should become a lacrosse player?
Well, if you got Derek Togerson introducing you like that, and also
that was fantastic.
Waste going with number 13 when number 69 is clearly available, Sammy.
13 is my lucky number. It's everyone else's bad number. 13 is my lucky number.
Sure, I can't believe it wasn't 15. You'd be like, Mahomes. All right, San Diego Sports 760.
Niner fans are just. I am so excited for a month from now.
Super Bowl.
See, I'm glad that this is being documented that he thinks this, so he can't come on the air when they lose and go, well, Warner was out, and Bosa was out, and Michael Williams.
All right, we do not have time for this, but if we want to talk about the Fred Warner thing, Fred Warner is trying to be back for the postseason.
So we're talking Super Bowl, but then we're also getting our excuses ready. I understand.
Super Bowl. All right, San Diego Sports 760. Take a quick break. Wrap this thing up. Coming up next. Thank you for being here. San Diego Sports 760, Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long. We're almost out of here. John and Jim are coming up right after us. Now, we've been giving away Zach Bryan tickets all week for his July 31st show at Snapdragon Stadium. We will have more for you tomorrow. John and Jim also have another pair coming up later this afternoon. Now, while we finish out the show, I would like to say this. Nick Saban, former head coach at Alabama, has now purchased into the Panthers, an NHL team.
Yeah, it's a good team to purchase too.
Maybe the biggest personality flaw that I have, Sammy Long, is that I genuinely do think either myself or my brother will win the lottery at some point. He didn't win last night. Otherwise, I'd be a billionaire and I would not be here right now. But Powerball's up to like 1.2.
Fletch is going to be, when he wins the lottery, it's going to be like the scene at Go Bull Hunting when he's waiting, for him at the door and he just wanted him to walk away and go live his life. That's what Fletch is like at the end. She's going to be Ben Affleck, me sitting there waiting, and him, Matt Damon, not showing up.
I'm going to be gone. You will never hear from me again. However, I may buy into a professional sports team, but the fact that Saban bought into an NHL team, I think is hilarious. So my last question of the day, and we got about 30 seconds to do it. Sammy, if it's not the big three, baseball, basketball, football, what sport are you buying into?
Oh, I buy it. I love hockey. I watch hockey all the time.
Hockey'd be cool.
I would buy it. I mean, listen, if it's making money, I'll buy it anything.
Sure.
Like if it's not the big three, I would, I know what I'd be. I'd run a stable. Horses.
Oh, you would go full.
I'd be Bob Baffert.
That's kind of fun. That's actually
without
really
all the
one.
Doping allegations.
See, I'm thinking I would just buy the Seals LAX team, take it away from Josiah, and then I'd be Derek Togerson's boss, which would be kind of fun. All right, that's it for us today. John Schaefer, the man with a Heisman vote. Jim Russell, the man who votes on something, is coming up next at San Diego Sports 760. We'll see you tomorrow.